Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, what we're going to talk about in this video is we're talking about the trial of Julia Wandelt, the Polish lady who thinks, I think she perhaps really does think, that she is Madeleine McCann. And of course, she currently is on trial in Leicestershire in the UK. She was arrested at the airport when she was coming over to once again stalk the McCann family, along with this lady, Karen Spragg, in her 60s. Absolutely no idea why she has got involved in this. Julia, it appears, has got some mental health issues. She's pretended to be two other missing girls. Before, this is not the first time she's pretended to be a missing girl. And she has basically stalked both Gerry McCann, Kate McCann, and then from what Kate said when she gave her testimony, and it's all in the playlist that's linked below, everything that's happened in the trial so far, what decided them to finally go to the police about these two women was they started to stalk Amelie, started sending messages to Amelie, who is Madeleine's sibling, and of course who was in the room that night when Madeleine was allegedly abducted, and Sean. So she started they're twins, aren't they, Sean and Amelie? They're 1 year younger than Madeleine. They were 2 when they were all left alone by their parents in the apartment in Portugal. And apparently that is why, in the end, the McCanns went to the police about this couple, because it was just a step too far to contact Amelie and Sean, which really is fair enough, isn't it? Because Amelie and Sean, they are the innocents in this. They seem to have, again, their testimony is in a video in the playlist, again, link below. Check it out. Sean made a statement. Amelie appeared by video link. You know, they were just there in the room, two-year-olds. And really it must cross their mind that they were fortunate not to be abducted also, because all those 3 children, Madeleine 3 years old and the twins who were only 2 years old at the time, were left alone in that apartment while Kate and Gerry went off drinking with their friends. At the end of the day, that's what happened. But what happened to Madeleine is a mystery, and of course, you know, everyone has their views on what happened to Madeleine, but we don't know anything for certain. So this trial has been started last week, 5 days ago. It probably will carry on into next week. And so far, we've heard all sorts of evidence. What we're going to hear in this video is the evidence from the McQueens, who are good friends of Gerry and Kate. Ellie McQueen was young herself at the time. She was, you know, a friend of Maddie's, if you like, but of course they were just tiny children. And Linda McQueen is a good friend and confidant of Kate's. So we're going to hear their evidence. Now, what I wanted to show you first before we start are the evidence that Linda McQueen, the adult, the mother, gave at the time of Madeleine's disappearance. So we're going to have a look at that. First of all, just to refresh our memory about what Linda Ruth McQueen said in the PJ files. Okay, and these are the PJ files that came from the Portuguese police, but they've been translated. So let me just make sure that's sharing, and then I'm going to go through it. So this is the testimony from Linda Ruth McQueen on the 7th of May 2008. Occupation is a teacher, and the deposition, comprising 2 pages and signed by me, is true, and according to my understanding, I am aware that if proven to the contrary, I will be subject to prosecution if I have voluntarily testified to something with knowledge of it being false or not corresponding to the truth. And the date of this deposition was the 7th of May 2008. I am the above-mentioned person, living at the address previously supplied to the police of Leicestershire. I was questioned about my friendship with the McCann and the Healy families, as well as my visits to Portugal during the summer of 2007. During my childhood, I lived with my mother in the same street as Brian and Susan Healy, who are the parents of Kate. I have known Kate since 6 months of age, and my mother and hers are still today great friends. We went to the same school, even though I was 6 years older than Kate. We continued our friendship during school and into adulthood. Kate met Gerry while at university about 13 or 14 years ago, and they married about 10 years ago. They have 3 children. Madeleine, almost 5 years of age. I thought Madeleine was 3. And Sean and Emily were 2. Anyway, she says Madeleine almost 5 years of age and twins Sean and Emily, who are 3 years old. In October 1998, my husband and I had our daughter Ellie, and Kate and Gerry married at Christmas that same year. Kate and Gerry adored Ellie, both desired children. Kate wanted to have a tribe of 6 or 7. When Kate became pregnant with Madeleine, it was a great event for them, given that Kate had faced problems with conceiving. After the birth of Madeleine, the family moved to Amsterdam so that Gerry could continue his professional training. While they were there, Kate received IVF treatment and became pregnant with the twins. It was a difficult pregnancy, but Sean and Emily were born healthy in February 2006. Before the disappearance of Madeleine last year, Mark and I used to see Kate, Gerry and the family approximately every 2 months. Oh, I see why, because this is the following year. That's why they're a year older. Yeah. We went to Leicester, or they came to Liverpool. On the morning of the 4th of May 2007, the mother of Kate telephoned my mother, who in turn telephoned me. My mother told me that something terrible had happened, that somebody had taken Madeleine. I later sent a text message to Kate that same night, and I spoke with her on the telephone. She was hysterical, saying only that she wanted to be able to hug Madeleine. She was worried by the fact there were only 2 police officers in the place and thought that the police were not helping her with anything. She continued to speak about Madeleine, of the cold that she could feel since she was dressed only in pajamas, and she continued to look at the situation from the perspective of Madeleine. She told me that Gerry was outside to find the girl, and during the following day we spoke on the telephone and we frequently sent messages to each other. So you have to remember this has been translated, so sometimes it sounds a bit odd, the English, doesn't it? On Saturday, I spoke on the telephone with Gerry, who was sobbing, and we decided that I would go to Portugal as soon as Nikki Gill and Michelle Thompson returned home to replace them and to render assistance. During 2007, I travelled to Portugal on 3 separate occasions, from the 12th to the 19th of May, the 26th to the 29th of June, and the 19th to the 26th of August. On the first occasion, I caught the same flight as the priest, Paul Seddon, and we arrived on Saturday night. We went straight to the apartment where Kate and Gerry were at supper. Gerry embraced us and Kate was crying. We remained for some time and Kate repeated, "Where is she? Who has her?" I felt that Kate and Gerry were focused on the idea to find Madeleine in their own way, and the local police had not progressed. I stayed in a separate room in the apartment of Kate and Gerry during all of my stay. I helped in the attempt to keep the daily routine of the twins, namely in taking them to the daycare centre. This will never sit right with me, to carry on taking the twins to the daycare centre after one of your children has been abducted from a resort. You carry on taking the other two children to the daycare centre. Just doesn't sit right with me, I'm afraid. Gerry and Kate always returned for lunch and took the children to afternoon tea in the attempt to give a semblance of normality. Kate and Gerry were involved in innumerable interviews with the press and the police all day, but they arranged their availability to always give attention to the twins, namely the bath before sleep. That's it. During it, we would speak about how things had gone during the day and make plans for the following day. During the first week that I know everybody's different, but, and so there is no right or wrong. But I would want to be with those children 24 hours a day after one of my children had been abducted. Literally would, and I certainly would not leave them in the care of strangers, in the daycare centre. Leaving them with a friend or family, maybe, if you had things to do. But, those children would have been asking, where's Madeleine? What's that? And they're with strangers in a foreign country. During the first week I was in Portugal, Kate and Gerry were transported by representatives of Mark Warner. Sandy Cameron was also there and possessed a hire car, but it was not the Renault Scenic that Gerry and Kate rented during the third week that I stayed with them in Portugal. In the second week that I was there, I travelled to Portugal with Nikki Gill. We stayed with Trish and Sandy in the apartment close to Kate and Gerry. On this occasion, Gerry drove a hire car, but I do not remember if it was the previous car of Sandy or the Renault Scenic. In the third week, I travelled to Portugal with my husband Mark and our daughter Ellie and the priest Paul Seddon. Ellie and I stayed in the villa that Kate and Gerry had rented. Paul and Mark stayed in an apartment in the immediate vicinity. During this period, both Kate and Gerry drove the Renault Scenic, and I travelled frequently in that vehicle. With respect to the rooms where I stayed, I noticed nothing strange. With respect to the hired vehicles, I noticed nothing strange in any of them. Never was there a disagreeable or intense smell. We frequently used the boot of the vehicles to place the things of the children and ours, given that there were two child's chairs in the rear section that left no extra space. That Kate and Gerry could have hidden Madeleine and carried her body inside of the car was uncertain, doubtful, dubious, problematical. They're probably all different possible translations. They are both devoted parents, and it is incomprehensible that they would have deliberately hurt Madeleine. Now, I agree with that. I doubt very much that they deliberately hurt her. That doesn't mean to say they don't know what happened to her. As far as I know, Gerry and Kate were never alone, given that the press followed them everywhere, that's a point, and would not have had a chance to transport the body. Also, I think that it would have been impossible for Madeleine to have left the apartment by herself. Since Kate and Gerry returned to the UK, we've kept contact through written messages almost daily. I visited them once in Leicester once in a while in Leicester, and they also have visited us. I have a mobile phone with the number blah, blah, blah that I use to contact Kate and Gerry. This telephone is with the O2 service provider. My husband Mark has one with the number blah, blah, blah with the Orange service provider. At home, we have a fixed telephone with the number blah, blah, blah. This statement was made by me and is true in accordance with my understanding. So there you go. That is the statement that Linda made at the time. So I just wanted to go through that first because I think it's relevant, just generally. And now we're going to look and see what her and Ellie. So Ellie McQueen, who would have been a little girl at the time, she is now, well, I'm not sure how old she is now, but she's an adult now. So that's where we're going to start. Ellie took the stand first. Now, the last thing we talked about on the previous video was Sean McCann's statement. So it's following on from there. So let me share this. So this was Friday, the 9th of October. So at 12 minutes past 1, Ellie McQueen took the stand. She's a family friend of the McCanns and she has known them for many years. She is asked about before the time of Madeleine's disappearance on the 3rd of May 2007. She was a bit younger than me, but like a little sister to me. I have a lot of memories of her when we were growing up. She was in Portugal when the disappearance happened. I was quite publicly associated with the case, she added. So she was there. Oops, let me just go back to the next one. Just got to go down a little bit. Miss McQueen is asked, so this is Ellie, still Ellie at the moment. She's asked about Julia Wandelt and how she came to know about her. I knew her name had come up quite a few times, she said, a lot of times on stuff Maddie related. I don't pay much attention. But she added that it had been mentioned by Kate McCann. Where's that gone again? Sorry. She's asked further questions about the defendant and said Miss Wandelt's connection to the case was quite relentless. She said that Miss Wandelt contacted her directly, but she did not notice until after the arrest. I checked in my spam messages and saw there were a lot of messages dating back quite a while. Now, one thing I've noticed so far in general through this trial is the defence hasn't had a lot to say, has it? Anyway, reminds me a bit of Erin Patterson and the mushroom murderess trial. The defence is not really pushing anything because they probably make it worse. Miss McQueen is continuing her evidence and she's asked about some more messages that Miss Wandelt sent to her. Julia was trying to get in touch with Kate and the family to let them know she wanted to make contact. She wanted me to get my mum to speak with Kate and was trying to send me DNA evidence to say she is Maddie and that she had a feeling or memories that she is Maddie. She said that Miss Wandelt said she'd been threatened by Operation Grange, which is the Metropolitan Police investigation into Madeleine's disappearance. She seemed aggravated or upset that no one believed she was Maddie. When asked if she made the McCanns aware, Miss McQueen said she did not relay Miss Wandelt's message to them. It's a traumatic case and Kate deals with quite a lot of stuff like this, not on this level. Miss McQueen also said she received messages on Instagram and friend requests from other people about Miss Wandelt, but she said she would block them. And the witness added she had a lot of messages from Miss Wandelt in June 2024 and February 2025. And the jury has now heard that Miss Wandelt sent images of crime scenes and DNA evidence that she is Maddie in a later batch of messages. Miss McQueen said she did not reply and the messages were passed on to Leicestershire police by her mother. You know, and it's good that she did not block Julia, really, because that's what's built up the evidence against her. The prosecution is now showing a number of messages on a big screen in court from an account on Facebook called Julia, which the jury is told belongs to Julia Wandelt. One message seen by the court reads, "Please help me get in touch with Kate McCann. I was threatened by Operation Grange 2 days ago and I have proof of that. I never lied and mainstream media has manipulated my story and made me look like a crazy liar." Another message to Ms. McQueen shows Ms. Wandelt had discovered the witness is a family friend and knows about the close connection between her mother Linda and the McCanns. Other messages again go over familiar territory, requests by the defendants for DNA testing, police threats, corruption, and memories of being Madeleine. And asked what she thought about this, the witness said, "I thought it was quite disturbing. It made me feel uncomfortable, quite uncomfortable. For someone to say they remember memories was quite difficult." Miss Wandelt also claimed to Miss McQueen her DNA was a big match for DNA from the scene in Portugal where Madeleine disappeared. I mean, that just is not true, is it? So let's go. I don't want the timeline. Right, so that's the end of Ellie's evidence. And then Linda, the person that we listened to the statement she gave to the Portuguese police, her mother, Ellie's mother, Linda, who is a close family friend of the McCanns, is now about to speak. So prosecutor Nadia Silva began asking Mrs. McQueen how she knew the McCanns. She said she had known Kate McCann for 55 years when her family lived in Liverpool and they were lifelong friends. The witness said they went on holidays together with the family and she was Sean McCann's godmother. Mrs. McQueen said she came into contact with Julia Wandelt in 2023 and spoke to the McCanns about her. It was very triggering to talk about these things with Kate and Gerry, so I would go with their lead. I thought it would all go away like others have, but it gathered momentum in 2024. The witness said Ms. Wandelt was very persistent in her contact and described it as very overwhelming. It wasn't just Kate, but anyone who knew Kate and could get to her, she added. Mrs. McQueen continues and tells the court she received a message on the 28th of August, 2024. I'm just looking when this was Thursday this evidence was given, because on Friday, the police have spoken. I'm going to be doing a separate video about that evidence. So she said she received a message on the 28th of August, but she wasn't aware as it had gone into a spam folder on Facebook Messenger. If you don't recognize the name or the photo, you ignore it. So I probably would have ignored it at that point, she said. She said she became aware of the messages from Julia in February 2025. There had been a lot on the telly about Julia. And my daughter, who was with us at the time, said I'd had messages from her, she added. Said she'd had messages too. So Mrs. McQueen said she was shocked and felt quite upset about her daughter Ellie being contacted by the defendant. You feel protective. Then we realised I had them as well. The witness told the court she did not respond to any of the messages that Julia Wandelt sent to her and blocked the profiles. So the court looked at examples of messages from Julia to Mrs. McQueen. One read out to the court said, "From what I've learned, you are one of the few people who believe that Madeleine is still alive." Asked by Miss Silver how she felt about this message, the witness said, "It's very triggering. It brings it all back. You're concerned someone has information about you, your family, your friends, using it to get under Kate's skin. It was emotional for me. She wanted me to contact Kate. Julie was trying to pressurize me." In another message to Mrs. McQueen, the court heard that Miss Wandelt wrote about remembering things as Madeleine. Mrs. McQueen said, "It's really upsetting. We've all got memories of Madeleine. It's appalling." In another message, she said Miss Wandelt told her police had not tested her DNA and they had tried to intimidate her. "It does make you feel sorry for her. Maybe she was unwell," Mrs. McQueen said. In another message read to the court, Julia said she knew Linda McQueen was Kate's best friend. Asked about her reaction to this message, the witness said, "It was quite unnerving that somebody knew so much about me. To have it said to you in a message is uncomfortable. It's very personal and private, your relationship with your best friend." The court was told the messages to Linda McQueen follow similar themes as others, including Julia Wandelt claiming her DNA was a big match with DNA from the Portuguese crime scene. "It didn't make any sense," said Mrs. McQueen. So another thing that she said was, apart from allegedly asking Linda to contact Kate and Gerry on her behalf for these DNA tests, was that she said the opening of one message reads, "Hello, I know you are Kate's best friend." And she said that was unnerving. So just as we were saying there, she said it was very disturbing to see that this person seemed to know about her friendship with Kate, but she didn't know this person, so like horrible, really, isn't it? It is horrible. And so, sorry, I'm just swapping over to Sky News now because she said, Linda said she first became aware of Julia in 2023 and then more frequently in 2024 when events gathered momentum and she became aware of Kate's distress. And then when she was asked to describe the nature of the contact between Julia and Kate, Linda calls it very persistent contact and very overwhelming. She wanted to get through to everybody who knew Kate, and Kate seemed to be the main target. I've said that before, haven't I? She definitely targets Kate because she sees Kate as the more vulnerable, I think. Yeah. So, upsetting messages, very triggering. And that's how the day ended on Thursday. So that was Ellie's testimony and Ellie and Linda McQueen's testimony on Thursday. Okay, so I'm going to finish the video there. Let me just move out of the way here so we can see Madeleine's little face. I mean, of course, this is what's at the crux of all this, isn't it? This poor girl, something happened to her, but I don't know if we'll ever know. And, I do feel for the McCanns. I do feel for Gerry. I do feel for Kate. As I've said many times, the only thing for me is obviously those children, they should not have been left in the room on their own, but, can't turn back time. I think it's Sean. He's done so well. If you look at the video of his testimony, I also read out sort of something about his swimming accomplishments, etc. Amelie, there she was at the vigil a couple of years ago. I think that's a lovely photo because she's a very beautiful girl, but also I think seeing how concerned Kate is for her, you can see Kate's looking, make sure, is she okay? Is she okay? It's a lovely picture, that, isn't it? But yeah, Madeleine, God rest her soul. And I know we don't know for certain she's deceased, but just can't see how it can be any different. But anyway, we don't know. I shouldn't say that. Okay, so I'll be back really soon with the next video, which will have the testimony of the police and also of the auntie. I think it's Kate's auntie. More testimony about how Julia and Karen stalked this family, and it is wrong. Whatever you think of them, don't think of them. It's wrong what she's done. But anyway, she's not been found guilty yet, so we have to remember that. I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, press notifications so you'll get the next notification of the next video coming out. Thank you. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And may your God go with you. Bye.